This is the Twin Cities Real Estate Investing Show. Real stories, real success in Twin Cities real estate. Join your hosts, Adam Taffel and Tim Swirzak, as they dive into the world of Twin Cities real estate investing. Together, they share valuable insights and practical tips to help both new and seasoned investors navigate the Minneapolis-St. Paul market. With a focus on relatable stories from real people, this show will empower you with the knowledge and confidence to thrive in your investing journey. Guys, take it from here.
What's going on, Tim?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Things look a little bit different around here, don't they?
Yeah. So, welcome to the new podcast / vlog, right?
Check it out, baby. We got a multi-camera setup. We've got lights.
We no longer have a kitchen table.
Yeah.
Well, dining room table, I guess.
Yeah, we've been wanting to upgrade the gear to be more video friendly for a long time. And we were working with this ancient setup for a long time where, the audio recorded at a different frame rate than the video and blah, blah, blah. It just wasn't conducive to video and YouTube. And ultimately, we want to grow this thing. And we want to help more people learn how to invest in real estate in the Twin Cities. And how we do that is with vertical shorts and video. So here we are. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, so we're going to be creating some new channels. They're not up yet, so we're just kind of letting you know. We're going to be asking you to subscribe to those channels too and help us promote. So we're going to try to run some specials and some promotions for you, kind of like giving away a gift card or something like that, or I don't know. We're going to come up with something. And actually, as part of that, maybe it's worth saying, this is costing a lot more money. Even the giveaways are going to cost money, right? So we are going to be looking for sponsors if you know anyone who's interested. We have our own ideas on that, but maybe you all know someone who might be interested in sponsoring the pod, and that would be nice if you connect us. Reach out to Adam and I with that info.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Shuk Rentals is going to be on this episode or if it'll be the next one, but we already have a sponsor that we're super excited about.
Yep.
This fantastic digital property management platform, but it's not just a property management platform. It's really innovative marketing solutions for landlords. Not just saying that, I really believe in the product. And I mean, we're both so committed to lifting up our friends and supporting other small businesses, right? I'd rather go to your convenience store than Walmart any day.
Right.
Well, where else are you going to have a chance to use software created by someone who we already know, like, and trust?
Right. And on the pod. Yep, exactly. And I mentioned during this episode, actually, if you listen, I say I worked till 9 o'clock last night. I was working on Chuck at my last night.
Oh, no kidding.
I was setting up my accounts and stuff like that. It's a really cool system. And I think we'll probably end up doing like a whole episode where we kind of talk about it, like an Adam and Tim real soon, because I think it's worth it. But we'll wait on the details of Shuk until later. But just know that Shuk Rentals is our first sponsor, but we're going to be needing and looking for more.
So anyways, today we have Richard Ochoa, good friend of ours, investor, entrepreneur, contractor, licensed agent. What doesn't Richard do?
Yeah, and we met Richard, both of us met him through the meetup. At different times, actually.
Great point.
You mentioned you met him in 19. I know I met him in 20, or at least that's when him and I connected on a business level. And he had a problem during the meetup, and he brought up a question, and I answered it. I'm like, I can help this dude, right? I knew what his problem was, and I knew how to solve it. And I knew it would be a hard thing for him to just find by calling loan officers because of what his problem was. So.
Sure.
I guess that's a little plug for, like, whether it's our meetup or other meetups, a great way to just meet, to expand your network in the Twin Cities is the meetup scene. And there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, if it wasn't for the meetup, this podcast might not have happened today. So anyways, without further ado, here is Richard Ochoa. All right, we're live, folks. Richard Ochoa, thanks for doing this today, brother.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And for those of you who've been keeping up with the pod, this is the new set.
Yeah.
So
Adam had to buy a new house.
No,
it feels like it. This is a sweet room. I love how it's set up now.
It's a lot of cameras.
But Richard, man, we go back a ways. I feel like I first met you at a meetup at the Keller Williams in Roseville, in probably like 2019, I want to say. And I remember you asking a question. You're kind of like, you were trying to like sell a place on the east side and buy another place. Anyhow, I guess you came off like kind of green in a way, but like I feel like you had actually like way more renovation and deal experience than most of us, but you seemed like just very like open to learning. And tell us about how you became that person.
I think I was working one night and I thought, wow, I need to do something else. I need to find something that's gonna get me away from here. And I bought my duplex. I remember that time. It was the older Keller Williams office in 2019. So I had a duplex, and a lender said, "Yeah, just buy that duplex, and then you can buy another one." And I went to the meeting, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I just bought a duplex, and I'm already looking at other ones." I didn't know that you had to wait a year to get another loan. I didn't know any of that. So I show up to the meeting and I raised my hand and I said, "I just bought one and I'm looking for another one." Everyone looked at me and like, "Oh no, you have to wait." But yeah, I had no idea. So.
And how did you meet Richard?
We met on it was on a web version, like a Zoom version of the meetup in 2020 during COVID. You were having some issues with a particular loan type, and I knew how to solve it. I don't remember what the issue was, but you needed a commercial on it and you were looking for a residential.
Yeah, so that was I bought the duplex on a VA loan, 0% down, and then just by listening to the podcast, they talked about contract for deeds and seller finance and all that stuff. And I told the guy, I said, "These are my terms. This is what I can pay." And I took it to an agent, and the agent did all the paperwork for the contract for deed. It was 6 months, and this was month 2. And I went to the meetup, and I said, "Hey guys, I have this contract for deed. I have no idea what to do after it. I need someone to help me." Or do you guys know?
You were gonna have like a balloon payment?
Yes, I had a balloon payment in 6 months, but I knew it was a good deal, kind of. And then I think Tim was at that podcast when I spoke up or raised my hand. And he said, "Hey, I can help you. Give me a call." And then Tim connected me with the bank, and I was able to refinance in like 4 months. And then I think Tim connected me with a commercial bank, and I refinanced. I did a cash out refi in 4 months, and then we still paid the guy the interest for the 6 months.
Yeah, because you said you promised it to him, and I thought that was pretty honorable. Hey, a little side note, we have to interrupt here. So for anyone who ever wants to do a contract for deed, one important thing for lending is that it's at least a year long before you try to refinance it. It completely changes the game in your options. Less cash will come out of pocket, more lenders available, everything else. So if you ever write a contract for deed in the future, try to make it at least 12 months, and you have to record it immediately, because the key is 12 months after recording that you can consider a refinance instead of a purchase with a conventional loan. And that was one of the reasons why Richard was having a problem, is it just the way it was set up wasn't conducive to financing.
Got it.
So that's just for everyone in the future, because they will come up and you just need to know that.
That's not even seasoning. That's just, or what do you call that?
What do you call that type of thing? Well, so if you were, I don't think there's a name for the rule, but if you were to if you did not record it for a minimum of 12 months, then it's still a purchase, no matter what. Right? I don't care if you owned it for 5 years on the contract for deed. If it's not recorded, then it's a purchase. So you get credit for like whatever deposit you did, but not any equity that's in the property. So if Richard, like for example, let's say he bought it with $50,000 in equity, he put $50,000 down. Technically, by our standards, there's $100,000 there, right? But by a bank's, there's only 50 because it wasn't recorded for a year. So they're just trying to, I would assume they're just trying to get away from fraud, right? Because it'd be very easy for us to start writing contract for deeds on everything.
Sure.
Oh, I got a contract for deed for 2 months. Now I don't have to put any money down, right? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. They're just trying to get prevent people from really trying to scam the system, I guess.
Well, Richard, if you don't mind, at this point, you've done way too many deals for us to go like deal by deal through your whole history. But can you take us through like the first 5, maybe?
Yeah, I'll just go. I think I'll go through the first 5 and then I'll tell you my best one that just happened, because everyone talks about how they can't do it with the rates being what they are. And the best deal that I've had since 2019 was we refinanced earlier this year in like March.
Sweet.
So the first 5 deals, I guess, bought a duplex, 0% down VA loan. And then I went to do my exit interview for the military. And the guy doing my exit interview asked me what I did. And I said, well, this is what I do now, but this is what I want to do. And what I want to do at that time, or wanted to do, was real estate. So he said, hey, I have this house that's probably not even worth $100,000. And when he said that, like, light bulbs came on, and I'm like, I haven't seen anything for $100,000 in years.
Well, can we, and so sorry to interrupt, but I think listeners of this podcast like specifics, like cities focus. The first duplex, where was it? How much did you pay?
I paid, zero. I just needed something that I could pay. It's in St. Paul, but I needed something that I could afford if I didn't have any tenants, because I had no idea what I was doing. So I knew that I had to buy a house where I could afford it, whether I had tenants or not. I got it for $230. My mortgage, tax, insurance, PITI, all that stuff was $1,300, and downstairs I rented for $1,300. And they're still there since 2019. So that covered everything, and then I just covered capital expenditures and whatever else came up, like water, trash.
And was it East Side?
Yep, East Side in St. Paul. Yep, that was my first duplex, right by the university. The
Metro State?
Yeah, Metro State, right by Metro State.
It's not that far from where we used to live.
Yeah, so that's where I got it. We lived there for a year, and then I got my second deal, which is a Rundle, again in St. Paul, and that one I got for $117.
This was the contract for deed?
This is a contract for deed. I got that one for $117.
Talk to us about the terms. What did you offer?
I just said I'll give you. I said I'll give you $600 a month for 6 months, and then I'll do a balloon payment after 6 months.
Okay. Do you give them any down at all, or was it just $600?
8,000 down. 8,000 down, $600 a month. Balloon payment on the 6th month for the rest.
Yeah.
And then the $600 a month was pure interest. And I think I got a loan for $144 at 80% of the ARV.
Yeah.
But I put in, the nice part about this one is all I did was put in $1,000, and I just redid tile in the bathroom. So I got I think it appraised at like 190 something, and then I put in $1,000 on that one. So
nice. What was your first like big renovation job?
That was probably my third deal in Fridley, which Tim also helped me with. On this one, I got it from a wholesaler. I guess that was my first my biggest renovation at the time. I've done probably bigger ones right now.
Okay. Tell us about that deal. What
type
of property?
Single family. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, unfinished basement. Got it for $190.
Are these all MLS deals at this point?
No. Only the first one. Only the one I got with the VA loan. This is off market through a wholesaler. He sold it to me for $190. It appraised for $290, and I put in like $25. And it was a good deal. I rented it out. I got it as a 3-2. I split one of the living rooms because it had 2 living rooms. I put an extra bedroom in there. I finished the basement. I made the bathrooms look nice, made it into a 5-bedroom, and I rented it out for $2,500.
And where did you find this contractor? Because obviously a big key to your success has been like your contractor relations.
Yeah, actually,
where did this person come from? Tim?
From Tim.
It all leads back to
it's the
Tim
same
on
one.
this episode.
It's that contractor is the same one you use.
That's who you use now, Julio. Well, actually,
Oh, that was Julio?
That was Julio, but the guy working under him started his own company. Yeah. That guy is who you work with, who is Jose Miguel, who I actually talked to at Home Depot last night.
No kidding.
So he did my first reno. And then, that was Fridley, the Fridley house, I call it. I call the houses by the city. So that's the Fridley house. That's the St. Paul house.
So that's not going to work because you're going to have Fridley 99. Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it's, So yeah, I mean that one I put in a 190, or sorry, got it for 190. I used a hard money lender, paid them. I was all in for like 230, 225, 230. Appraised at 290. Again, did a cash out refi on that. And then rented it out for 2,500. So it was a good spread there. And then
this whole time you are working at the cleaning business.
Yeah.
Correct?
So I was working at a cleaning company. I actually worked there for 7 years. And I just quit like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So
Sure.
I was they needed someone who had a background in business, which I have a bachelor in business from St. Thomas, and then I'm also bilingual, so that's what they needed. So it was a perfect fit, and I was working full time and then investing on the side, what felt like full time as well. So and then so that was Fridley, and then I bought a property in, I think the next one was I think at the time I bought another house in Bloomington. This one I got off on Craigslist. My cousin actually found it on Craigslist. We went over to look at it, and I bought it for like 225, 230, and I made it into a 4-bedroom, 1-bath. So
I think what a lot of people who are listening right now are probably thinking is like, how are you finding, I mean, you say wholesaler, Craigslist, but like how much time a week are you putting into, I kind of picture you nonstop just looking for deals at this point in your life. Is that accurate?
yeah, so a typical day, I'll I think from once after dinner, I do what you're doing. I pull the computer out and I start looking for houses on the MLS, and I'll do searches. Or I get a bunch of wholesale emails. I probably have like 5 lists that I'm on the email list for. I'll look through all those. I'll copy paste the addresses on the MLS and I'll search around there. I'll call people. I'd say I spend about an hour a day, an hour and a half, like actively looking for
Do you
deals.
still do that, or you're talking about back then?
I still do it.
Yeah.
So because now I flip. It's hot in here.
Sure.
Well, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish in life with an hour a day on anything. Like consistency is it, right?
True. I mean, if you work out an hour a day, you look like a goddess, right? I mean, if you
You think I could look like a goddess?
maybe, yeah. I mean, you got the mustache for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Deal number 5. Let's keep going. I like this.
4. Actually 4. This is deal 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Craigslist deal. What city was that one?
5. Bloomington. Bloomington was 4. South St. Paul. This one, it's in Inver Grove Heights, but it has a South St. Paul address. There was 2. It's a slab on grade. I got it off a wholesaler again. His name is Mark. It was on the MLS for a while. No one bought it. So then at this time, I still am scared of buying stuff, and I'm nervous, and I don't know what I'm doing.
You don't seem very scared, but it's good to self-reflect, I guess.
I thought, well, what made me scared was like, why is there no one buying this? It's 190.
Sure.
I made it into a 6-bedroom, and got it for 190. Made it into a 6-bedroom. It appraised at 305.
But a little behind the veil, you get higher rents than normal because you're renting to people who have less options, right? I mean,
yeah. So I'll
tell us a little bit about that.
So I rent to a lot of construction crews that are here just to kind of work, and they just want somewhere to sleep. But a lot of these rentals do look better than my personal home. I do granite countertops, hardwood floors, and some of them.
We can attest your rentals look very nice.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, they're willing to pay more because they have zero credit. They don't have a background.
Yep.
They're not. I mean, most of them don't speak English, right? I mean, so they're so you can make deals work. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying, like, this is how these are the mechanics. And so because of your connections and your networking, you find people who, they need housing, and they'll pay, $200 more a month than the average person would. And then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you give us an example? Like,
So what I'll do is I'll So I have a house, this one in South St. Paul. It was a crew of 6 roofers that rented it out, and it ended up being like $500 a bedroom, and I made it into a 6-bedroom, 2-bath. So, again,
Right.
just a small rehab, 2 bathrooms, flooring, paint,
Yeah.
countertops, all that stuff. So, that one, got it for $190, appraised at $305. I probably put in like $25, $30. So, and I still have all of these. I'm just getting ready to sell my first rental ever, which is my second deal.
Okay.
That's the first thing that I've ever sold that I bought to be a rental.
Let's talk about why you're selling. I think that's a good topic. What do you?
Sorry for all the. I got like 6 cameras. I'm nervous. It's hot.
Great, buddy.
It's my first podcast ever. Well, I was going to let it go to a wholesaler. The tenants have been there for 9 years because they were already there before I bought it. And I was going to sell it for like 180, 190. And then I went in to look at comps, and they were coming in at 240 for 250. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm just going to flip it myself. I just have, I want a 1031 into a different area closer to my house.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just have enough equity where I can 1031 or do something else with the money. So
Sure.
that'll give me a bigger return.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've kind of always had this. I think that every now and again, it's a good idea to prune your things, right? Like, you buy a bunch of them and you think they're going to like turn out to X, but one of them turns into a Y, right? Whatever that means for you. It might mean a little less cash flow. It might mean it's hard to get to. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this was a great deal, but it's 45 minutes each way. Or it could be that it draws a tenant base that's, high maintenance or whatever, right? I mean, there's lots of things it could be. And I'm just kind of, so I think it's a good topic because you can still be long-term minded and still prune the deal every now and again. So I'm just kind of curious.
I think that if back in 2019, I could have, you could buy like 6 or 7 houses that were not too expensive, and by now you probably have, if you did a BRRRR on them, you probably have like $80,000 to $100,000 in equity in each one of those. And if they weren't the best areas, you can move all that equity to closer to home or more desired areas, like
easier to manage.
I think easier to manage, larger, bigger tenant pool, higher prices. The resale value is a lot higher than where it is now.
Right.
So, or the money is now.
Because let's look at that a second. That property cash flowed really well. You got a great deal on it.
Yep.
But even getting a great deal, what was your cost on it? Do you remember, like, going back, like, roughly?
Yeah,
purchase plus rehab. What do you think you?
Yeah, I spent $1,000 on that one.
But how much did you pay? I'm sorry.
I paid $117.
$117. Okay, so you made quite a bit of equity on it.
Yeah, and that was a nice part of it.
Yeah.
Was that it didn't need a lot of work, and tenants had already been there for 4 years. So I think I got 4 to 5 years. So everything was working, right? The AC must have been working, the furnace must have been working, the water heater must have been working, kitchen, bathrooms, because they had been there for so long. And the owner was honest and said, hey, this is what you might have to fix in the future. So far, knock on wood, they're actually buying a house in 2 days.
The people who live there now.
The people who live there now. So I'll get in there, rehab, and then put it on the market. But
so that's a single family, or is it?
It's a single family.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
That's a single family. That was my second deal, the one that you helped me with. But yeah, I just want to move the money somewhere else, whether it's a 1031 into where I live in White Bear Lake, or a 1031 into something else, or I can reinvest that money and just use it to flip. So
yeah.
What year? Where are we at this point when you buy? Well, let me just go back in the story. You just described buying your 5th deal before you brought us up to present day and selling this deal. What year is it still? It's got to be like 2021-ish in the story when you buy deal number 5?
South St. Paul. Yeah. 20. So we did South St. Paul. Yeah. 2021 is where we're at right now. I stopped buying. There's a gap where I didn't buy anything for a couple of years.
Explain that. What happened?
But I think I got to the point where I got promoted really fast at work. I got comfortable. I felt like I was good. I'm like, okay, I have all these investments here. I'm making a decent salary where I'm at. And I think the biggest thing that kind of made me almost lazy, it was lazy, was the fact that I knew how to do it. So if I ever needed to do it, I knew how, and that made me very complacent. So I know how to do a BRRRR, and I know what to do to, in order to make it happen. So I'm just going to relax for a couple of years, and I can always go back to that. And then the interest rates went up, and then it wasn't as easy. But I think that knowing how to do it made me comfortable. And I thought, okay, in 30 years, I have these 6 houses. I should be good. I know how to do this. I am getting promoted at work, so maybe I didn't have the need. And then
you also had a new wife and all that, right? And all, you know what I mean, right? Like
You're
Yeah,
the baby.
life
So-
was also,
during this 2019 to 2021, my wife was my girlfriend, and I made her buy 2 duplexes. Right? Like, I said, babe, if something happens, you have a duplex, and this is how the numbers work, right? And this is like 3% interest, 2.7 interest. Like we have all these like 2.5, all these low interests, mortgages. So then, like in 2019, we bought that duplex, and I convinced her to buy one, and then I convinced her to buy another one in St. Paul, and that takes us all the way to 23. But I did one more deal before that. But this whole time, like I think once I did like four or 5 BRRRRs, I couldn't just go to Wells Fargo or Tim and say, hey, can I get a 30-year mortgage? Because all these properties counted as debt against me. And it was a lot harder to. And I'm like, okay, well, if I can't get a 30-year mortgage because of the debt and all that stuff on the houses, then the BRRRR was my only option. And that was probably another reason why I kind of stopped. It's because it was hard to do it conventionally off the MLS unless it was a single family. So
Do you look back on that break and like regret it? Or do you, and kind of where I'm going with this is, answer the question first, I guess.
No, I think, my wife kept buying stuff, she bought a couple of duplexes. No, I don't regret it. There was other good things that came out of it. I focused more on my personal life, working out, running, my relationship with her. Those are also important. And friendships were that, I could do this thing where my friend would call me at 5 p.m. and he said, hey, you want to go to the bar at 6? And I would go. Now like that would never happen. I had a ton of free time. I don't regret it. Because I look at the bright side of it. Right. So these other good things happened because I wasn't so. Heather, my wife, she would paint these places. Like people say, oh, how did he only pay $20,000 to $30,000 for a full rehab? Well, that's because my wife and I were painting from 6 a.m. to midnight.
Wow.
On Saturday and Sunday. Right. Those are the things that and I was demoing and like super dirty after 5 p.m. I would get off work at 5 p.m. and go demo till 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just, easy where I found these deals that had all this equity. Like we were actually in there demoing and like doing stuff. And I remember one time for the South St. Paul house, my mom said, hey, Richard, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I said, can you guys just come help me clean this house that I'm working on? Because so my sisters came, my mother came, my girlfriend came, and we all kind of, grabbed the broom, cleaned it up. I did some sod in the front of the house. And like, it was all hands on deck, I think. And yeah, it was enjoyable. And it makes you appreciate not having to do all that right now.
Yeah. Well, and I asked the question, obviously I don't think you should regret taking that break. I know that it's a very common for real estate investors. Tim and I are guilty of this, of like just wishing we had bought more when we had the opportunities. And I thought it would be funny if like you, who was on such a tear, really buying as much real estate as a guy like you possibly could, if you also regretted not buying enough, I would have just found that kind of funny. But I'm glad that's not the case.
Yeah. No, maybe it's just to a certain extent, but I just don't. don't dwell on it. I don't really. It is what it is. That's kind of my mentality.
Right.
But yeah, then I guess back to the houses.
Yeah.
After Bloomington and my wife getting 2 duplexes, one in Maplewood, one in St. Paul, and I think we kicked out your friends from the one in St. Paul. They were living upstairs. Some people that you knew lived upstairs, and we gave them a 30-day notice because we were going to move in on West 7th. It was a brick house, a brick duplex.
Gosh, and I had friends there.
You had someone that you knew, maybe. Oh,
It may not have been a close friend.
I don't. Maybe it was the other Adam actually. Someone I knew. I think it was. I thought it was you. Maybe it was the other Adam.
For whatever reason, my memory with houses and deals is actually very poor. They just kind of like blur together.
Yeah,
so it's
but
possible.
Anyways, we bought 2 duplexes under her name, and then I bought another single family in Maplewood, and I think this one again. It was, and I have this for all the house hackers out there. I have this rule that if you house hack a house, you better buy something in your neighborhood, in that block or 2 blocks around you.
2 around each other.
Because you should be going on walks, looking for deals, walking your dog, talking to the neighbors,
That's a good
going
point.
on runs. Like, you should know what everyone's plan in that area is with their house in the next 2 to 3 years just by chatting like this, I think.
Shout out to Kevin. He's pulling that off, right?
So
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. And actually that brings up a good point, because one of the things I saw from Richard when he was, this is like 2020, 2021, when you were talking about how hard you were working, what other people didn't see too is you were networking like mad. I remember you'd have like people over to dinner at your house all the time.
Yeah.
You'd invite everyone, like you'd invite your tenants, you'd invite owners of houses over to your house, and you'd cook for them. And I actually know that, like, you know how everyone has like that love language type thing? Like for you host people,
Yeah. I just like being friendly, and I don't like email. I don't like text. I just like I pick up the phone and just say, hey, like, what are you doing? What are you up to? What are your plans? Or like, let's meet up and let's get coffee. I don't like text and email, because I don't think it portrays a message, especially when you're trying to buy something.
Sure.
But yeah, going back to so we were house hacking in Maplewood, and then I picked up running, and I was running around, and there's this house on the corner that's destroyed, and no one lives there. And I just knocked on the house, and then no one was there. Then I knocked on the neighbors gave me the phone number, and then I called the number, and the guy said, hey, we developed a relationship, and he met. I always introduce him to my wife, and everyone likes her for some reason. And she's good to bring around when I'm trying to close a deal. She's the closer. Yeah, it's just she's a teacher, and she has a nice smile, and people just like her. So he met her, and he met me, and we got the house for, I think that one was 205. But it needed, that was my biggest rehab then, one of the biggest rehabs, but that one got it for 205. And the guy, he developed so much trust with me that he said, Richard, the highest offer I have is this, if you want to beat it. And the reason that I'm telling you this, it's because I don't want to go back to my siblings and tell them that I picked the lower offer just because I like you. So I said, okay, perfect. Like, I'll beat that offer. So yeah, 205, I think 200. I bought that one for in Maplewood, down the street from our other duplex in Maplewood that we were living in.
At this point, do you have any sort of like system for analyzing a deal, or are you mostly just kind of going with your gut and instincts? Because do you have MLS access at this point?
I didn't have MLS access at that point.
This is pre-realtor at that point?
Yeah, this is still 20. I probably did like 7 or 8 deals within like 2.5 years, 2 years. And that was just me, and then whatever my wife did. But
any sort of process though for like,
no,
why do you pick the number you picked?
This is the thing. It worked with my third deal, my single family in Fridley. Where I made it into a 6-bedroom. I knew how much money I put in. I knew how much I could get for rent for a 6-bedroom. I knew how much interest there was when I put it on Zillow or to rent it or whatever. No systems, no. I just looked up. Okay, these houses are going for this much. This is how much I think it would appraise for. I would call appraisal companies and just cold call them and say, hey, how much do you think this would appraise for?
No kidding.
Where should I put my money in the bathroom? Should I put my money here? How do you measure it and figure out square footage? How do you give me the biggest value? What should I do? What shouldn't I do? What can I wait on, right? So can I wait on doing this because you're not even going to appraise that? So I would call appraisers and ask questions like that. I would call realtors or look at what house is sold for. I just needed to know how much I was going to buy it for, how much work it needed, and how much I could rent it for. Very basic things. And it kept me.
You didn't use 45% vacancy and rents that were 20% below market?
Yeah, no, I kept it simple, and it just worked out. So on that one, got it for 200, put in like
That's the tagline. Kept it simple and it just worked out.
Yeah, it just I think that I heard someone say this, that the best decisions made in life are the ones that you make without having all the information that you need to make the decision.
Interesting.
So
because of like instinct?
Yes. So I can sit there and say, oh, this needs a new roof and I might have to do this, and there's water coming in the basement, and there's like, I could do a full inspection. I've never done but I haven't done a sewer scope inspection in any of these. I didn't do.
That's like the only thing I would do in a property nowadays. Actually,
I don't.
Yeah, but as far sewer scopes,
I don't recommend it.
Sewer scopes are so great for leverage and negotiating.
Yeah.
But in all of the people I've met, all the deals I've helped with, I've heard of one sewer emergency where somebody had to repair their sewer, and it was a total surprise. It's happened once.
Okay, so I'll give you the counter.
Yes.
I've lost $31,000 to not doing sewer scopes. So I would tell everyone they should do a sewer scope every time, no matter what. That would be my advice. They were both in Minneapolis, though, so I guess if you're in Fridley or something, maybe not.
Fridley, Maplewood.
And how many disasters?
That was two deals. Yeah, okay. 16 on one, 15 on the other. One of them was big. One of them, the scope was so high was because there was big retaining walls that had to get taken out and put back. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
it's incredibly bad luck, and but
I backed away from another deal where I would have lost money. I finally learned my lesson, and I flipped the same property for the second time. So my technically my second flip, but my first flip in the last decade, I flipped it, sold it to a guy, and then he wanted to sell it back to me a few years later. And I was like, it was a skinny deal, but there wasn't much needed, right? I only had to put a couple grand in, and I could make, let's say, $15,000 just by putting like $2,000 into it and keeping it a very short period of time. No big deal, right? Unless there was a sewer issue. So I have a sewer scope. Sure enough, if I do, it's a shared sewer too, right? It's like, it's a shared sewer that branches off super long, all this stuff. I'm like, I would have probably lost money, but for sure no better than broken even had I not done the sewer scope.
Well, a lot of the time too, it's not like you find that the sewer's messed up and now you have to disclose it to the next person. It might not be catastrophic. You flush the toilet and it goes somewhere, right? So, but these sound like these were like, it actually had to be done. Absolutely.
Well, I don't know, but like at that price range, if someone does it, this was $187,000, ending sale price, right? So at that price range, people have $1,000 into the home on an MFHA loan, right? So they've got no money. Like if the sewer is bad, they need you to fix it.
You have an ethical duty. Yeah.
And I think, to Tim's point, if I buy a house tomorrow and then I figure out that the sewer is broken, I will never not do a sewer scope inspection. I just don't dwell on the little things. If the numbers work and I have some equity, no one else is going to give me, $20,000 in equity for free. Not for free, but as long as you have the equity, it's a protective mechanism for whatever goes wrong. You just fix it because the money's there.
Completely agree.
But
I love it. I mean, I think you're dead on. I absolutely, even though we're making a little fun here, I do think you're dead on. And I'm the same way. People ask me how I analyze it. I'm like, you're not going to believe it, but here's how it goes. I can explain it to you in like 1 minute how I analyze a property. Right?
Well, I remember like being very early in my real estate agent career, and I work with all these investors who are newer, and it's spreadsheets and it's calculators, and it's going over $50 for this and $100 for this. And then I remembered I had this client who was a builder, and this old guy, and he walked into this house in White Bear Lake, and he just kind of looked around. He's like, 300. And it was like that moment where it kind of clicked for me. I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe the pro doesn't spend time in spreadsheets so much.
I hate paperwork. I hate spreadsheets. I hate all that stuff.
I'm pretty sure I bought in at least 6 houses with not even walking inside them.
Yeah.
At least 6, where I never set foot inside until closing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not at that level yet. I like being in there. At least
I sent my contractor in, right? So like several of these I sent Julio in, or and
whoever,
like, what does it need before we, what does it need? I just needed the number and the time frame. I don't need to, don't tell me anything else, just the number and the time frame. As long as you're right and trust the person, then boom, right? So someone walked him, I just didn't, right? But like a lot of people can't imagine that. So anyway.
Same here. As I now can not send, but I can now just trust my contractor to go in. He tells me how much he's going to charge me. I know how much a roof and siding and all that stuff is. And then I get the number from him. I know how much the house is. I know how much it's going to sell for. I can do a quick MLS search. And that's how I make my offer. I don't have to go in there. I just trust him. And
how do you estimate siding?
You just know how much.
You just know how much it costs.
No,
16 to 20 grand.
Yeah, you just
I've never done it.
Yeah, you just know like, okay, this guy's gonna charge me this much per square, and I'm not gonna say how much because they give me deals.
Yeah,
so it's just okay. I know this is $10 a square. That looks like 20 square, $200. Perfect. That's kind of how and then like $50 per window or whatever.
Sure. I was looking for the specifics that you're unwilling to give me. So thanks for
except it's 500 a window, not 50.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's one thing that I've had issues with. Friends call me and tell me, hey, can you help me with this bathroom or this kitchen or this floor? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is how much I pay. And then I send my contractor or someone that did it for me, and they come in like $1,000 or $2,000 higher than what they charged me for like a bathroom or something. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't. They just give me a different price.
You host them at your house for dinner. Right?
We have Modelo's and Coronas on Fridays. I bring them. I bring food. We eat together. I mean, I'm sitting there with them, and I'm demoing one part while they're working on something else.
Still to this day?
Yeah. Like to actually, before I got here, I dropped off, I was at a flip. I got him going, and then I went to a 12-unit apartment building that we're working on. And I dropped off 2 guys to do flooring and 1 unit, and then I dropped another guy upstairs to get it ready to paint. And now I'm here, then going to Home Depot, getting material, bringing it to them, then checking on the guy on the flip, and then making an offer on a house that I looked at yesterday. But yeah, that's like what my day is like every day.
So how many houses are you buying per? Let's go with the 6-month period, right? Because 1 month is too short of a time frame. In 6 months, what are you buying?
So I just started flipping 2.5 years ago, because I had left my corporate job and I started flipping. The week that I left, I bought 3 townhomes. So the week that I said, hey, here's my 2-week notice, I said, okay, what am I gonna? I thought, if I know how to BRRRR, I know how to flip. That was kind of my mentality. Because in order to do a BRRRR, you need 25% equity, or back in the day it was 20%, so it was a lot easier. But now all the banks are at 75% of ARV is what they'll give you as a loan. So I knew that that worst case scenario, I could flip something and get 10 to 15%, right? If I could do a 25% ARV on what I was doing before. So that's kind of what I thought, okay, so then I bought 3 townhomes and I flipped them all, and that went well. And then I just started doing that. And then I thought, okay, let's try this BRRRR thing again. And this brings me back to this year, was where this was an MLS deal. Do you want me to talk about that one?
Oh, this is the best deal.
Yeah, this is the best. Yeah. And like at this time, I did. So I am partners with my brother-in-law and my sister. And like throughout this time, we also bought. I started listening to Cody Sanchez. She buys boring businesses. So I bought a boring business. That's what she calls it. So I bought like a landscaping company, and I used collateral from one of my BRRRRs to buy that company. That was in business for 10 years, and now we've owned it for 3.
Was part of that decision because you own all these properties and you need lands, like a scratch your own itch
of
decision?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. It was just, again, I was sitting at my office and I thought, okay, I need to do something else. So then
Well, yeah, you quit your job, so you need money now.
This was like months before I quit. Before I even thought about quitting, I bought this.
But it also helped your brother-in-law and sister, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, we're like,
that was all part
we
of
were
the
thinking,
motivation.
okay, my sister's like we're gonna have my husband manage this whole thing right away, and then he can leave his job, and then once we get this whole thing going, then he can kind of we can both manage it and be what we're trying to get to is like be hands off and hire employees to do all the work. We will be there in 2 weeks, by the way, where we can they go out. And then my brother-in-law and I kind of go do a lot of the bidding and all that stuff. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't BRRRR properties and had the collateral or equity to buy the business. But yeah, so during this time we're doing that and we're flipping houses, and I saw that house on the MLS. It's a duplex in Maplewood on Frost. We got it for $167. Put in like $140,000, $150,000 in work.
Will you explain to us what does a $167,000 duplex look like when you walk through it? Because it has got to be so brutal.
Especially in Maplewood too, right? That's not like
It was on the MLS
Yeah,
too.
okay.
It
Yeah.
was
and it's probably like a side-by-side, like mid-century.
up, down,
Oh, no kidding.
up, down.
Oh, I would have expected side by side as well in Maplewood.
Up, down.
Was it a
Built in
conversion?
1900.
Oh, was it converted single family maybe?
Maybe. I don't even look. I don't even look at that.
Okay, gotcha.
2-car garage, corner lot. I'll be honest. I looked at it and I'm like, I'm not buying this.
Frost, I'm trying to picture Frost. Are there baseball fields in that area, kind of across from it?
Yes.
All right, then I know the area real well. Is there also there must be like a AMC lanes or like a bowling alley that used to be over there, or might still be there?
Maybe it's right by Gervais.
Yep.
Gervais Lake.
Yep. Okay.
And this is so I already we have a single family there. We have another duplex, and then I saw this.
I think that Gervais Lake area is one of the most like slept on areas in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
To buy, I helped a client buy a mid-century place with like, I don't know, like 100 feet of shoreline. Now, of course, it's across the road. Jake K. We won't say his name on here, but you helped him too. And God, he scooped that thing up maybe 3 years ago for $440. And I was just running comps on municipal lake homes recently for a client who was trying to buy something in New Brighton. What's the Silver Lake?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to do a comprehensive CMA of like municipal lake homes that aren't western suburbs. And man, there's nothing under 650 now. But I still think the fact that you can get into something like that on a beautiful lake, 10 minutes from downtown for the 600s is remarkable.
It is. Yeah. Actually, so little side story. I agree with you. I used to live and work in this area you're talking about, and I was showing my mom. We were driving around Lake Gervais and Spoon Lake and Keller and all the little lakes over there.
Yeah.
And we kind of got lost, if you will. And that's how I bought my first house. Driving through a neighborhood, we're like, oh, that house is cute. I should look at it. And my first house, I lived there 19 years because of Gervais Lake, basically. Roundabout way.
Okay, sorry.
But 167. I brought my sister. I think I brought David. David is my brother-in-law, who's my partner. We're 50-50 on the landscaping, on the flipping, on everything. and he's the same as I am. Like, we can work until 5 p.m., then go do something else till 9 p.m., Monday through Sunday if we have to. And he has the same mentality where I think we've been partners for almost 3 years and we've never bickered or like nothing like that. It's actually the opposite. Like, we want to find time to just drink together and enjoy time. And I think that's the kind of partner that you want, is someone who you want to be with, right? Someone who you want to have a drink with and hang out with. We don't have enough time for that. So that's one thing that I wish I had a little more. But yeah, anyways, I brought him in, and I brought him in and I to the duplex, and I said, "Hey, David, come look at this." And he said, "No, I don't think we want to buy this one. You want to buy, you can buy it."
Well, what was it about the deal? You've done all these huge renovations. Like, what are you afraid of at this point? What is it about it that's freaking you out?
It's because I don't have a job to fall back on. I didn't have a W-2 to fall back on.
Gotcha.
That's
It's a
just
timing thing,
yes,
not
it's a and I was like, oh, okay, well, if something happens, like, I can't just keep working or do something, it has to work. So I brought him in and showed him it, and he was kind of iffy about it, and then I called my sister and I said, "Hey, I think this is going to be great. Like, we're all in for this much, and I think it could appraise for this." I just called Jeff. He ran some comps. Jeff
Schemmel.
He's our friend.
Shout out, Jeff.
It's scary how good he runs his comps. When I text him, I'm like, "Hey, Jeff, what do you think this would sell for?" He gives me
and he gets back to you in like 7 seconds, probably.
Yeah, he gives me
has a CMA in your
He
inbox.
gives me the exact number. So then Karina and David know him too, and I'm like, "Hey, Karina, Jeff said like this is what it could sell for," and they're like, "Okay, well, if Jeff said it, like, we're good. Let's do that." But anyways, we got it for. So I called my sister because I said, "Hey, Karina, I'm doing this. Let's buy this duplex. We'll just be 50-50 no matter what. If something happens, we'll just do 25% down from the landscaping business. We'll just take the money from there and do 25% down on this duplex.
You can pull cash from a landscaping business?
We can just use the money. Like, it's
understood.
we own it. We own it.
Your
So,
operations account or whatever.
yeah. I said, we'll take money from there, and we'll do 25% down if it doesn't appraise. That's always my fear, is like, because you hear about all these like low appraisals. I said, if it doesn't appraise, then we'll just do that. Like, whatever. Or we'll sell it, because we haven't seen anything for under 400 and then at this time we flipped some nice homes already. So I knew the quality of the work and how the duplex was going to look when we were done. So I knew that we could sell it for no less than 400 if something went wrong. And we bought it for 167, and I knew we'd be in for 150. So there was like a $90,000 spread there. So I started doing demo on it and whatever, did a bunch of stuff. And then we figured out, let's see, maybe we might have to cut this, but the inspector came knocking and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we were doing demo work. And he said, "Okay, you need a pull permit for this." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." So I got all new electrical, all new HVAC, partly new HVAC and partly all new plumbing, the whole building. So then it pushed our budget from 130 to like 150, which is fine, which is, whatever.
It's not a bad spread from an inspector knocking on your door.
Yeah. And we were just doing demo still, and I thought, we'll pull the permits later. We're just doing the demo work. We're not starting any of that stuff right now. But yeah, we were all in for like 320. I have a mortgage of 300 on it, and the appraisal was 520 on it.
Nice.
So my mortgage, I think we're all in. I think we pay like $3,100 a month, including everything, and like we do like $300 a month for capex, so like $3,400. And it rents out for like almost $5,000, like $4,800.
Yeah.
So it was a good deal. And it has all new siding, new windows, new roof, plumbing, electric, flooring, kitchens, backsplashes, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances.
Yeah. So it won't need a lot of capex for the near future. It might need something can break, but
Yeah.
a lot of times that's almost like inconsequential stuff, like I don't know about you guys, but I don't consider water heaters CapEx anymore. It's $1,000, whatever. Who cares, right? You know what I mean?
No, even like, I agree. So we still do, you kind of learn as a newer investor, you learn these things from all these podcasts, and then they just kind of stick with you. And then you do it for 10 years and you still like, oh, I need CapEx for this or that. Or, you still think of those things as if they were like the law or, but I think whatever you're doing now is different than when I started doing rehabs, but I still use some of those techniques or thoughts or things that I heard in podcasts and stuff. But I was, shout out to your podcast. The way that I got started was listening to like 30 hours of podcast a week before I bought my first duplex. That's all I did. I listened to podcasts, 30 hours. And then they would mention books, and then I started reading books. So it's free education. And, we're a lot of the stuff that like what Tim talked about with contract for deeds and seasoning periods, like you have to make like 7 calls to just get that information, So I always think like these are valuable for people. So
I think, man, I mean, what I've noticed as far as like what your success boils down to, it's a ton of great character traits that you have. But back when we were spending more time together in like maybe 2021, you were just obsessed, man. Like you just lived and breathed real estate more than anyone else I knew. And I spent all day talking about real estate with people. And like, what do you think it was? What is it about real estate that made you so obsessed?
I think I was more obsessed with being successful. And this is what I understood.
It's a great answer.
I don't understand. I do now, but like stocks, like I like having control, and I can control my house, how it looks, how I fix it, what I put into it, what I don't put into it. I don't want to depend on some company and I don't want to get into politics, but I don't want to depend on someone else to do what I want to do. And if I invest money into this company, that I don't control it, right?
Yeah, you don't know if they're scumbags or...
or maybe they're really nice. And to each their own. This is what I can control, and this is what I knew, and this is what I spent hours and hours in podcast on. And I just became obsessed. Like I read books, I did podcasts, I loved it. And I thought, oh, okay, this makes sense. Like in 30 years, they're all paid off. And then it just made a lot of sense to me, and it was easy.
I remember one time we were riding in like your truck, and you were like, you guys, like you felt like guilty. You were gonna like tell us something, and you're like, I text David Green.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, I did. I texted him and I said, hey David, I think this was when I first got my license. I don't know how I found his number. I looked up his brokerage. And I found his number, and I said, "Hey, I'll move to California, and I'll absorb everything. I'll work for you, just to teach me what you do." And I said,
"Kind of glad you didn't do that."
I'll stay in a cheap hotel in California, and I'll go up there, and I'll just work for you, 15 hours a day, until you build trust in me, because I know that I can do what you're doing. I just don't know how. And I actually talked to my wife and I said, hey, do you want to move to California? Or like, can you wait for me? And then I'm going to move there. I'll get a bunch of houses like David Green, and then you can come live here. But I didn't do it. I guess I have this, I think that if you just work hard, everything will play itself out. Right. So if you put in the time and the work, everything that you want to achieve will come. And that's how I was, at my old job. When I, like the first 3 to 4 years, I was the first one in, last one out mentality. And then I just, you just work hard and good things come. I think I've never heard of someone say like, I've worked so hard and now it got me.
I have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
I think one key thing that a lot of people do, and I think you did this too, though, is they put judgment on themselves as they're doing it, right? Like you're working hard and you're like, you wanted all the success and you didn't, in some cases you didn't trust yourself on all this. And in the end, it did work out. So you have to give a little faith that like, okay, not everything's going to work out every time. But if I keep this mentality up, just like you said, character traits, if I keep doing this, it's going to be successful, right? And some of these people think, oh, it has to be the first deal. First deal sometimes isn't. Well, it should never be your best deal. First of all, it should just be a deal, and you should get better, right? And which is what happened for you. And over time, if you give yourself a little bit of leeway to make a mistake here or there, but you also work hard and you listen to other people, it's going to work out.
Yep. Richard, we can cut this as maybe a really dumb question, but like, why are all the hardest working guys I know Latino? What's up with that? Or do you disagree that stereotype?
I think let's just remove the word all, but
yeah, sure.
I think that.
Well, and to be clear, what I said is all the hardest working guys that I know. So I'm not saying all Latinos are hard working.
Yeah, it's just the ones that you know that are really hard working.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of like I don't come from a lot, I would say. I still had everything that I wanted, but once I moved to Minnesota, and I went to the high school that I went to, so I came from Chicago, and I lived north side of Chicago, just, humble living. I grew up in a duplex, which is funny now. And my dad was working and my mom didn't work for a while, like 10 plus years. She kind of just took care of the kids. And I have other family, and that is not very fortunate. So I could see that, right? I live that, I see it. So then the only thing you have left to do is like work hard if you want to better yourself, I think. And I think that a lot of the Hispanics that I know as well are very hardworking because they came from nothing. And the only way out of that is I think to work hard and to have a good work ethic. So I don't know. Yeah, it just.
I sometimes wonder if it's like tell me if I'm wrong, but like Latinos who immigrate here already took action to better their lives, and they took like a pretty extreme, sometimes dangerous action to get here. Well, so maybe I wonder if just people who immigrate here tend to trend towards having better.
Well, what do you have? Like, what do you have?
Immigrants don't have that, like you talked about, that laziness. Like you got a level of comfort and you got lazy for a little while, which is fine, right? That happened to me too. Yeah, I don't think that's awful. Yeah. But they don't have that, right? When you have to scrap every day.
Oh, and when you have to scrap every day and you don't come from wealth, like what do you have to lose? There's not. If I come here with nothing, I have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. And that right there is what will make you a lot. So there's some investors that I know that are 100 times more intelligent than I am, but they don't take the risk because they have so much to lose. Like that in their eyes, they think, they think about all the losses because they have all the things that they can gain already, right? And when you have nothing to lose but everything to gain, it makes that decision a lot easier, I think. And not just me, but a lot of people that are hardworking, like, they have everything to gain but nothing to lose.
I would argue that you have a lot to lose these days.
Yeah.
You've built quite the empire.
But you also know how to manage it, and you know where your risk is and all that at this point.
Yeah.
But yes, I would agree. Yeah, totally.
I was talking with the videographer guy yesterday about just like small business and entrepreneurship in general and taking risks and how most people don't take that risk. And the upside is just so incredible. And the downside when you don't have anything is like what? I buy a couple deals and then I file for bankruptcy, or I start this business and then I go bankrupt. And even if you are financially completely desolate, the people who love you still love you. You still have your health,
And I think that in business and flips and whatever else, as long as you work hard, you'll get the results. That's what I think. And that makes it super easy. If having a successful business, if all it takes is really hard work, then how can you say no to that or not take the risk? If all it takes is hard work.
Yeah, people do it every day, right? And so there is probably a little bit of a cultural element too. If you can see other males in your culture working hard and they're gaining in life, that is going to be, rewarding, right? And then you can live into that in a way, right? And so
Yeah,
I do believe there are cultural norms. It has nothing to do with race. It's just a culture thing, right? And there is a culture of working hard in your community, right?
Yeah.
It's not because of their genes. It has nothing to do with their, their chromosomes. It's, right? It might have to do with their socioeconomic level, like you said. And you take that combined with a lot of people do it. And it's like, well, if I want to do it, if I want to be successful like whoever, then I better do it too, right? So, yeah.
Working in restaurants, I don't think I knew a single guy in any kitchen who had one job, Yeah. It's remarkable.
Yeah. I see it every day with the people. Yeah.
I've actually had that problem with some of my contractors. So I work with a lot of Latino contractors, and some of the problems we have is that they'll have a second job too, and it's like, well, I just want to pay you more. Want to quit that job, but they won't quit the job. There is a mentality, at least with our workers, that they have to have more than one job. Like, it's not acceptable to have one job. Like, well, let's just make sure this one job pays you more.
Yeah.
I'll give you more hours. I'll pay you as much as you're making at the restaurant. Let's go, right? And I couldn't get them to do it. So it's like, well, then we have to fire you actually, because you're actually not working as long. You're getting off early of our job so you can go work that job. So that doesn't work. Sorry, bye.
Miguel just quit Holy Land like a couple months ago. He was doing nights at Holy Land. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's
there, but
I see it all the time. Everyone has two jobs, and I think that's ingrained in my culture. And then we also have people that don't like working as well. But
sure,
it's a struggle now, being that my wife is American and it's a different culture, I think. And I'm used to everyone around me working two jobs, not having much of a social life, not having like a friend's, like I found out what a friend's giving was like in my 20s. Like I didn't know
like the whitest thing ever. Yeah.
I didn't know
that was, admittedly though, that was started when I was like a young adult. Like Friendsgiving didn't exist.
After like 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many. I feel like there's it's tough to marry both cultures together. We make it work, but I just want to work till 7 or 9 p.m. if I could, but I know that I have to be with my kids, and I know that I have to, that's number one on my list, right? Like I'll push everything off to tomorrow to go do something that I have to do with my kids. But like when I would before kids, like I wanted to be at the office till 7 p.m. and get there at 7 a.m. I wanted to work. Even now, just last week, I got home at 9 p.m. and 7 p.m. or 7 or 8 p.m. 2 times after leaving at 7 or 6. And I liked it. Like I love that. I don't know.
You think you might have a little ADD?
I wonder if that changes for you, because I was the same exact way, but somewhere in my 40s that started to calm down, and by my 50s, I worked till 9 the other night and 7. Like lately, I've been working late too. But I don't love it like I used to. And I just wonder if that changes for you or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of that came from family. Like if I was just single, or married with no kids, I'm pretty sure I would work till 7, 8 o'clock at night, most nights.
Yeah. And I think I love it because I miss it. I miss, not being able to work super late, without now. When I do work late now, it's because I have to, right? It's like, I have to do it. And it's like, okay, if I work until this time today, then I don't have to be there tomorrow. Now, so it's just a different, I guess, different responsibility as a business owner. Like you just have to be there. So
is that a no to ADD or a possible possibility?
No, I don't think I have ADD.
Okay.
Just because I have friends that do, and I'm not like that. But yeah, no, it is a cultural thing, I think. But I've seen other people that are hardworking too that are not my culture. But
I wasn't painted in such a wide.
No,
brush.
yeah. No, I get it.
I knew you would have an interesting take on the question, and I appreciate you answering it.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's next. I think that'd be a good way to kind of wrap this up. Like what's kind of now for you?
Yeah. So
and then what's next?
Right now, just my goal right now, and my brother-in-law is to just, let's flip 3 houses, buy a rental, flip 3 houses, buy a rental. BRRRR. So flip 2 or 3 BRRRR, flip 2 or 3 BRRRR. That's what I'm doing right now. We also have the landscaping company. We want to grow that. We have done some hardscape now. So we're growing that into more a broader selection of hardscape projects that we can do. So that's growing. This is growing. I just got my general contractor license, so I've been doing some projects there. I guess if I don't know what's next, but if I could pick what's next, I would want to build like a 15 unit and be the GC on it, and then BRRRR that, because I think I can BRRRR an apartment building.
Build or remodel?
Build.
What do you think about that, Tim? I feel like you have thoughts about that.
Well, I guess I'm hung up on the term. I guess you could do it. It's not a BRRRR, right? That was my first thought.
Sorry. Yes, not BRRRR. I mean like refi.
But you could refi it. Yeah,
refi out of it. So like build it,
stabilize it. Yep.
Rent it out, and then go refi it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I think that is absolutely how people do it. And I know you have the skill for sure.
But yeah.
What part of town would you do that in if you could pick?
If I could pick Maplewood.
He loves Maplewood. Always back to Maplewood.
We're gonna have a guest who does some of that stuff. Remember Alyssa mentioned, I think his name is Cody. I've met him before, but I don't know him, right? I've been to a meetup and he does that, so we should connect you guys, and we definitely gotta have him on. He was the last episode we did with Alyssa, she mentioned him. So it's you absolutely could do that for sure.
Yeah, I did. I talked to owner of the bank in St. Louis Park, and he said everything is so expensive. He's like, we had lots in St. Louis Park that we had to sell because the quotes are coming in so high for building. But I think that I can leverage some relationships and contractors that I know in order to get a good deal and build something maybe that would make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then I can just sell it.
We've got a lot on the west side of St. Paul, or in West St. Paul, that you could text me about after the episode.
Okay.
Maybe start off with a fourplex.
Yeah.
Not to say that you can't do the 12 to 15. I'm only speaking because I want to sell this lot. Let's do the fourplex.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about
if I can do.
What a little thought about that real quick. The one difference though, of course, is the commercial code, and that is immensely more expensive than residential.
Yes.
So that's just something for everyone to kind of think about.
I'll probably start off by building a house for me, and then kind of learning that way. Maybe building a house to flip, and then going from there. But I have the commercial electric, HVAC, and plumbing contractors, and I think that's the hardest part. So.
Especially when you have their faith and their trust, and you can get them there quickly, right?
Yeah. So
get them to come back and all that stuff.
That's the biggest thing, is having a team around you that trusts you and you build relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
For
anyone listening right now, what can we promote? Obviously, you have your landscaping business. People can reach out to you. I'm guessing you're looking for new clients.
We do. We only do Stillwater, Woodbury, and those areas. We don't just to keep our routes condensed.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stillwater, Woodbury, Throne Lawn Care, THRON. We own that. Yeah. I mean, that's that. And if you have any flips, you can just give me a call or send me an email. We can buy them in 10 days and close in 10 days or whatever. So.
And what's like your perfect buy box right now? Also Maplewood
something in the 200s. Anywhere 200, 220 or less, 200 or less. Just because of, again, my backup plan, if it doesn't work out, then I'll just keep it as a rental. So that's kind of my strategy. If the flip doesn't work out.
Do you have an ARV that you
350s?
Yeah.
Single family houses under 350, 360.
Because they're so easy to sell.
Easy to sell, completely renovated. They look like the finishes are like $500,000 houses, but you're getting them for 350, 360, which I think is almost like the average price point for house is like 400 right now. So.
Yep. It's exactly the one I came up with. I haven't done one since I came up with it. That's the exact model that I think works. If you're under 350, the other problem is if you're too far under 350, say 300, the problem becomes all of your expenses are so great that there's no margin left. It might sound silly, but like it's almost impossible to make $1 on $200,000 flip. Meaning when you're selling the house for 200,000.
Yeah.
Because by the time you take all the costs in, you have to buy it for less than 90 grand probably to make anything on a $200,000 flip. It sounds silly. Everyone will say that's not true, but like if you do it enough times, you'll find out that like if you tried to flip 10 $200,000 houses, I bet you'd make money on 3 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
And good luck finding a seller that wants to sell at such a low price that would justify the ARV of 200.
Right.
So that's the hard.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think anything under 220, with an ARV of 350 plus, just flies off, and that's kind of the sweet spot. And for the first time, I just did a flip 2 months. Sold a flip about a month ago. It was the first time that I didn't receive multiple offers, that it didn't go into multiples. And I was kind of worried. We still got asking, but I think things are slowing down a little bit here and there. But yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's because I did a 1.5 bath versus 2, but we'll see on the next one.
This was 2 months ago?
A month ago.
Part of town.
A month ago.
We definitely started to slow.
So here's what was happening. A month ago, people were making offers 2 months ago, right? Like they were offering a month before you closed, and everyone was scared of the tariffs and stuff. What you're talking about now is no longer true. That actually the market's heated back up again.
Okay.
I mean, it always slows down around July, right? So there's that seasonal slowdown that we had. But as far as a number of applications that I'm seeing, which is an indicator of who wants to buy and stuff like that, it's a good market right now, or better than it had been for quite a while. That slowdown was really temporary. You just kind of had bad timing.
Yeah, we're still getting. So I have a listing in Egan right now, and we've had over 30 showings, and they're just every single day they're showings. So,
it's a good sign.
Yeah.
What type of property?
It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath on a pond.
Single family
house.
Nice.
It's actually, it went pending yesterday, but we had showings for like 20 days straight in multiple. So, but it didn't go into multiple offers, which
interesting.
I thought was common with my flips. They always went into multiples until that last one. So it kind of worried me a little bit, but it was because it didn't have the second bath.
Oh, if it's a suburban home, not a city type home. It's a little bit, Egan. They really.
Yeah.
You would expect a second bath, right?
No, Egan does have the second. I'm talking about Columbia Heights.
Oh, Columbia Heights.
My flip, but this is just a listing that I have.
Got it.
So
many properties.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to keep track. Well, dude, you're a good guy. Anyone listening to this, Tim and I can vouch for you the last 6 years, being a stand-up dude. People love working with you. So if you're looking for landscaping in the Eastern Burbs, if you have a deal, you're great to work with, and we really appreciate. You're also one of the busiest guys we know, and taking an hour and a half out of your day to do this is super awesome.
Thanks so much, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Wow, Tim, what a great episode.
Yeah, I love Richard. I remember talking to him while we were golfing, going down the fairway. Told him I thought he was going to be the most successful guy I knew in real estate, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's true someday. I know some pretty successful people, but he's going to kill it. And he's dedicated and everything else, and he's got all the skills. And unlike most investors, he really, when he talks about like how his networking, it's truly magical because it's part of his being. How he connects with people, again through food. Like he's not going to just say, "Hey, I want to buy your house." He's going to invite you over for dinner. He's going to make a meal, and it's probably going to be hand cooked and all this stuff. And it's a different level of connection that he makes with people, and that combined with his drive and his business ethic is just, he's bound to crush it. And I could see that 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I was trying to explain. I was telling shout out to Lucky Productions who set all of this up for us.
All right.
We'll link them in the show notes. These guys were awesome. Like I wanted a professional looking podcast setup, and I don't know anything about it. I don't have time to, read through blogs and videos and stuff. And we put it in their hands, and for a very reasonable price, they set all this up. So anyways, I was talking to Josh a little bit about, oh, who's your first guest going to be with the new setup? And I'm like, kind of explaining Richard. And I think how did I put it? I'm like, he wasn't at all afraid to, he wasn't afraid to borrow money and take risks. And he works super hard.
He did talk about what does he have to lose, right? And so many people, all they think about is what they have to lose.
Yeah.
When they have nothing. The funny thing is a lot of our the people who do business with us, it's their first deal and they really don't have anything to lose, right? There's not like maybe $10,000 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like, and yet they feel like it's a mountain. And it's funny because he had the exact opposite approach, so it's, I love it. I think he's right. And I think he had a lot to teach. A lot of the people who listen to this who are staring at spreadsheets need to listen to this episode twice.
Yeah. And like how it might sound like insurmountable if you're listening to this and you don't speak Spanish and it's not 2019. I'm trying to think of like, how do we I think you can still do what Richard did.
Oh yeah. I mean, because I work with the same I work with the same contractors that Richard does.
Oh, and you don't speak Spanish?
And I don't speak Spanish. Now, is it more difficult for me? Absolutely. I also know I don't get the same pricing he gets, right? Like there are some advantages he has, but like, look, none of them are so I make, instead of making, what did he say? He had like a $200,000 profit on his best deal. So what if I make 190 instead of 200?
Sure.
Yeah, like, whatever, right? Like it's all good. So, he's amazing, but at the same time, anyone can do it, right?
Well,
I think he does it exceptionally well, and I don't want to take anything away from him. That's not the point. But what he does is possible for other people to do, and I think that's important to say over and over again.
And I mean, his effort towards finding the deals, you can replicate that no matter who you are.
Correct.
And you have an hour a day to do it. And I bet even some days he didn't spend a whole hour, but even if you just dedicate some time every day, get on another wholesaler's list, getting on the MLS, going to meetups, that his secret weapon really is the combination of the contractors and the deal themselves.
Sure.
And you can absolutely replicate that today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, he's had his best deal in his worst market, right? So a big part of that, I've said this before, but a big part of that is just being out there. And by out there, he is talking to people. He is doing deals. A lot of times, if you're on a job site and you've been doing this long enough, someone will walk up to you and say, hey, are you remodeling this house? And they'll see the remodeling going on, right? But that's how they come up to you. And yeah, we are. Oh, well, I want to buy the house. Or, oh, I've got a house to sell. Or my aunt really needs to sell her house or whatever, right? These kind of things happen just by being active. And he's just always active, and he's in Home Depot, and he ran into our contractor last night. And I mean, their contractors were there. So if you're active in the real estate scene, you will run into deals. And that's why I would say your first deal shouldn't be your best deal, because as you get active, you'll get access to better and better deals, or they'll just kind of like fall in your lap.
Right. I guess I just finally understood what you mean by that. Like, your first deal better not be your best deal, because that means you're not improving.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you mean.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And it comes a little bit from the Gary V talk, on a slightly different, he doesn't say it like this, but he kind of says like, we overrate how good we are at analyzing a deal. And actually Richard said something kind of similar to that, right? But we overrate it. We think that if we're in the spreadsheet, we can find the one deal in the Twin Cities. And the fact of the matter is, number one, no, you can't. If you've never done a deal before, your analysis is only as good as your background, and your background's not that good. So, so you just got to kind of take a chance. And second, even now, you've seen there's been deals where I thought they were going to work out one way and they worked out way better. And the best apartment deal I ever thought I bought was my second to worst deal I've ever done. You know what I mean? And I put $440,000 into that deal. And I put 150 into another, and I should have flip-flopped it. Actually, I should never even invest in the deal I thought that was going to be the best deal. Is really what it comes down to. But, and I had years of experience, probably like what, I don't know exactly, but, roughly, I do. I had 16 years of investing experience, and I'd managed at that point, just in the previous year, 22 units on my own and everything else. And yeah, so There were things that I didn't see and didn't know. And actually, there were things that I did see that I didn't trust. I thought other people had done apartments longer and knew more than me. And that wasn't true. Right. So there's all this kind of stuff that comes in our heads. And I guess I had a little imposter syndrome going on. I suffer from that a lot, where I'm like, I taught these people how to do things and they're doing more than I am. And I'm like, why don't I just go out and do it myself? Anyway, a little bit of a rant, but
No, that'll be a great vertical, Tim.
Yeah. But everyone runs into that, right? I mean, like, my problem is that this is common to lots of people. So they kind of got to hear it, right? And maybe that, I'm hoping that inspires someone to go, yeah, it's just time for me to act, right?
Plant a seed, man. We're all just planting seeds.
Yeah.
Would you ever be interested in doing a full episode on that deal that didn't go well? Or is the wound a little fresh at this point?
Yeah, I think I would. Let's get some more listeners so that we have, so more people can hear it. But yeah, I don't know. I do think we should do a minimum of one Adam and Tim episode a month, Yeah.
You guys, let us know what you think. Do you like the Adam and Tim episodes? Are there things that you want us, like some of those data dives? We put a lot of time into that. We have resources. So if there's something you guys are curious about, will you please ask us? Because,
And actually, after doing 3 of them, I think the 4th one's going to be better and so forth. We plan on doing that series every year, right? So sometime in the winter when things slow down, because it is more time for us and we're busy with clients during the summer.
Sure.
Sometime in the fall and winter, probably the winter, we'll do another whole round of those and update it. And I think we'll be better. I think we'll have better insights and know how to look at them better, especially Minneapolis. I was such an animal that I got overwhelmed, and I think I know how to chew it up a little bit better next time.
I think I'm going to do my next TAFL time on the front runner mayoral candidate in Minneapolis.
If you can't see, if you're not watching, there was an eye roll in there.
I know. I didn't switch the camera quick enough. And just, how policies like that will affect real estate investing, unintended consequences, that kind of thing. So anyways, that's just one idea. We also need guests.
That brings up guests, yeah.
Yeah.
I've asked you all to help us get the mayor of Minneapolis or St. Paul on, but actually any candidate running for mayor or city council in either of those cities would be great. I think we might be able to get someone running for St. Louis Park as well because of our connection with Oliver. But if you know people,
Jacob Fry, if you're out there, you're being contested. This guy's got a lot of momentum.
Yeah, because we want to we want to talk about real estate, but part of real estate is the economic climate around it, right? And
totally.
Look, if I were to talk to the mayor of Minneapolis or St. Paul right now, I'm of course anti rent control. I wouldn't be here to beat them up solely about rent control. I want to find out what they see as the issues facing their people and frankly why they would consider it. And in some cases they don't have a choice. And I want to know the background behind it, right? I mean, and what level of control do you have over the inspections and why do they go the way they do? And is there any thought of trying to make them better so that people don't try to cheat the system and they actually, instead of making it so difficult for someone to comply, make it a little easier so more people want to comply, right?
Well, and so much more important than rent control is I want the city of St. Paul, where I specifically invest, to be a great place to live.
Yeah.
I'd take all the rent control in the world and have St. Paul be like a peaceful, wonderful place where Grand Avenue is thriving with new businesses, that's pro small business, and then, limit the amount I can raise rent. But if St. Paul, like downtown, if it goes downhill, that is a way bigger deal than any rent control policy.
Sure. But I mean, I'm so anti-rent control that I can't hear you say that without saying this. Economists are universally against rent control. It doesn't work. It stops investment.
Exactly.
It kills a city long term. So I get what you're saying. You're saying like it's not the rent control itself that's your problem. It's the whole city. But rent
control is a really big problem, and I'm against it. And there is no way to defend it. With any sort of intelligence. But it is second, in my opinion, to
the overall city.
Pro small business St. Paul, and peaceful St. Paul. Is most important.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And so I would like to find out, from the different candidates, what their views are on that, what they run into on a daily basis. Because I know that they obviously run into people who are mad at landlords. And frankly, landlords get blamed for a lot of things that are simply not their fault, including like the lack of housing isn't the landlord's fault. Landlords are the ones providing the housing. It's really the building and the costs. And I mean, there's more than one thing. I mean, that is a very complicated subject even to say that there's one or two things, it's not the case. But for sure, the ability to build housing that people need is a problem, because the economics make it that we build housing that only rich people need, unfortunately. And it's just economically not possible to build a low-income housing anymore without subsidies. So then you get into all that game, right?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. So that brings up a guest. Our very next guest after this episode is going to be Jordan Moorhead. He's coming next week. He'll be in person. He's in the Twin Cities, and he's in Austin. And so something I'm going to want to talk about, because they've experienced it, is Austin's rents dropped by 22%, if I'm not mistaken. He'll be able to confirm that next week. But they dropped by 22% year over year because they built a hell of a lot of housing. Mm-hmm. They built tons of apartments. They built so many, and they were high end, right? But things do on some level trickle down, right? I mean, like, it's not like when we only build rich people housing, we don't have new housing. We do. We just don't have enough variety, in my opinion. But they built a ton of housing, mostly really nice housing, and that brought the rents down through the whole system, right? Because whoever could afford the highest rent, there was still a lot of housing. They paid a little less. But since their class A was now renting for whatever, $3,000 instead of $4,000, the class A minus was this, and so forth, right?
Sure. You know what I'd like to do a deep dive into, because this most directly affects me and my clients. Well, we both work with a lot of small multifamily, right? 2, 3, and 4 unit stuff.
Yep.
And our biggest complaint is there's so many duplexes that could be triplexes. There's triplexes that could be fourplexes. There's single family homes that could have ADUs.
Yeah.
What is the actual supply effect on the regulations? It might not be it's potentially that even if you made all of the non-conforming third units across the Twin Cities, even if you made them all conforming third units and licensed, that could be a drop in the ocean when it comes to supply.
Sure.
Or
first of all, most of them are being used illegally, so right, so they might not. It might be a very small drop, right?
Well, I wonder if you're correct about that. You could definitely be correct. And maybe, I mean, I'm really only seeing them when they come up for sale, at which point the landlord or the owner, kicks a legal tenant out, as you do. But yeah, I think that would be really, I don't know how we would analyze that, but there would be a way to do it. And then we'd have to figure out, like, how many units short are we to have a more balanced rental market? I keep coming back to this, but like having somebody from the U who's really smart when it comes to like demographics and population trends.
Yeah.
If you're out there and a smart, like somebody who works for the Census Bureau, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's hard because we do have imperfect data, right? Because we don't really know the full extent of how many illegal immigrants are here, nor do we know how many are leaving, right? And again, not trying to get political, but we don't know those numbers. We just don't have a good feel for them, right? How much did that impact it? How much does... I do think it's a drop in the bucket, but it's not insignificant. It's a small piece, but not insignificant piece is short-term rentals. We all invest in them. I like them, but you can't tell me that if you take, 10,000 homes in Minneapolis and take them from basically boutique hotels, which is what a short-term rental is, and turn them back into a regular rental, that wouldn't have some impact. It would. I think it's a small impact.
And I think your 10,000 number is probably the amount of people who have an Airbnb profile, but the amount of active Airbnbs that aren't just somebody's home that they're, I go on vacation and so I list my place on Airbnb. That number might be in the hundreds between St. Paul and Minneapolis.
Sure.
I could be wrong.
I really did make up that number. I just figured it was it's a thousands number, I think, somewhere in there. But yeah, I guess I'm just saying, like, when you factor all these in, we really have imperfect data. So it would be difficult to say for sure what would happen. But we have to strive towards making it easier to build housing and less costly to build housing in any way that we can. which I've harped on before, but that includes zoning issues. It also includes code issues, and it includes like the ability to hire people issues. I mean, there's all kinds of things, right?
And you guys, Tim and I only benefit from this housing shortage. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
true. It's true. We do.
Like you could listen to Tim if you're like from a certain political persuasion and think like, well, he's biased in this, that, and the other. Like, dude, Tim owns all these rental units where we have such rental scarcity, and we're in a housing crisis because you can't really build affordably. So all of Tim's properties are going up in value. Like, you truly...
Not to mention my rents also go up because of that, right? Yeah. I benefit greatly from the system, and I wouldn't ignore that. I still think it needs to be changed. Yeah. And I'm okay with benefiting from the other system too, right? Like, I absolutely want it to be changed. I think it's a real problem for people, and I think it's only getting worse. And I'm not immune to trying to help people. I think that might be a misnomer. And we love our tenants. Like,
I don't think anyone thinks that about you, Tim.
The one thing I'll say is like the application process for Section 8 drives me crazy. The people that I meet, but our actual tenants in the Section 8, we actually, I guess because it takes so long, we get to know them better. And we've been fond of a lot of our tenants, but we're greatly fond of particular tenants that we have that are Section 8 right now. And I really want to, help them out as long as I'm still paid my rent on time and all that, right? But there's a business relationship there, but we like it. And I'd like to see more low-income housing that is not slumlord. But how do you run it not slumlord when you start getting into things like Section 8 and really high costs, and then rents and insurances that are going up like crazy, right? These are all factors, and not all of them can be addressed, but we need to address as many as we can,
Right. Yeah. How? I mean, whatever. We're going to do another episode on this. Where we have like...
This is an Adam and Tim outro.
Yeah. This is supposed to be an outro, but it's a good train of thought.
Yeah.
But this new mayoral candidate in Minneapolis is talking about a rent freeze. A freeze, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not going to freeze. They're not going to freeze taxes. They're not going to freeze the water bill. They're not going to freeze the garbage bill. They're not going to freeze insurance, which they can't freeze, right? Yeah, it's going to be kind of a disaster. And man, will that really... So if you're in Minneapolis, if you do not understand what that'll do to your value of your house, you really need to start listening to economists. I mean, I know our listeners are all probably already, we don't have like Joe's homeowners listening to this very often, but sure, that would be just devastating.
Okay, let's get back on track. So we need, you guys, we need suggestions for guests. If you think someone would be a great guest, please let us know.
Yeah.
We're also looking for some sponsors. We talked a little bit about Shuk Rentals at the top of the hour. They're awesome, and we'll be plugging them starting next episode, I'm sure.
And maybe this episode, it depends. We just got to finalize the details.
Yeah. So if you have a small business and you're out there, we could share like privately with you the data, the kind of reach we have, the kind of engagement we have. I think our community might be relatively much smaller than other podcasts, but I think our engagement rate and just the loyalty and quality of our audience is there, where, a good percentage of them are going to the meetup and they're involved. And so even us casually talking about Shuk Rentals, I know, has gotten them some more business without even making a direct ask. So
yeah.
If you have a small business landscaping, handyman services, you have an engaged base who is eager to support each other.
Yeah.
And so send us a private message, please.
By the time this goes out, we should be at about 4,000 downloads, because we're just a little under that right now. So it would be roughly 4,000 downloads. And in the previous 2 weeks to this, we were up 14% in listenership. So things are growing, but we do need your help, and we thank you very much. We're looking for more interesting guests, and we just revised we always had our contact information in the show notes, but the show notes are going to be more extensive now. We got to come up like a template, and you'll be able to go in the show notes of this episode, and you'll be able to reach out to Adam or I directly, like by email, or set an appointment with us.
Yeah.
We would love to talk to you if you have ideas. Actually, that's how we got Oliver, was one of my clients. Matt introduced me to Oliver via email, said that Oliver had been listening to the podcast and liked it, and so forth. So if you know someone you think is interesting in the Twin Cities, maybe they're doing something fun, maybe they just work hard like Richard, maybe they are just doing something interesting and it's a Twin Cities based real estate topic, we'd love to talk to them. And why don't you please reach out to us by email or whichever means you have, but click those show notes, find us and send us a message.
Yeah. Or if you're just looking to get into real estate investing, both Tim and I make ourselves very available to talk with new investors, people who just need a hand. That's what we're here for.
I mean,
we're not trying to become podcasters here. You know what I mean? I don't want to stop helping people invest in real estate and become a full-time podcaster. That's not why we want sponsors. We want sponsors because all of this takes so much work in the post-production side, and I'd rather help people invest in real estate rather than edit for 8 hours on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So there's our shameless plug for,
Yeah, well, and the whole idea behind the show is to help people with local knowledge, and we want to continue bringing that, and we want to, improve it. So again, this whole outreach or this ask right now is, you're part of our community, and you'll benefit from the show benefiting. So if you know how we can make this show better through better guests or a little bit more funds, no one's going to get rich off those funds, by the way. They're all going right back into the show, and that would be true for
everything.
That would be true for quite a while. If someone wrote us a check, for $10,000, we still wouldn't even be even, right? So
Right.
So we're just looking to help better this community. We love what we get in terms of personal satisfaction from meeting you and talking to you. We do have some cool guests. By the way, we have scheduled some cool guests.
Let's do a little teaser for a couple of guests coming up.
Sure. So I mentioned Jordan.
Talk a little bit about Jordan. Does everybody know Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan Moorhead was, he founded the Twin Cities Real Estate Investing Meetup with me roughly 2018 or 19. I forget. I could narrow it down, but it was earlier than that, 18. And it kind of came in, and the only reason I know Adam Taffel is because of Jordan Moorhead, right? That's how we were introduced. And that's led to a lot of connections, right? I mean, there's just been connections over connections with Jordan. And he's personally helped me with quite a few real estate deals, and he was inspirational in helping a lot of people get started in the Twin Cities. He's now an Austin real estate investor and podcaster, and actually he invests all over. So that episode will probably be a little less Twin Cities focused than normal, but very good. And
sure.
And he's got quite the network, and he's here in town because of GoBundance. So I'd like to get into GoBundance with him a little bit. If you're not familiar with it, there's a little teaser. After Jordan, we also have Todd Dexheimer coming up. Todd is Todd was a little bit like Richard is now, right? He bird houses, he flipped. He went from teacher to flipper, flipper/BRRRR, landlord guy, right? And he did that right around the mortgage crash. He'll have to tell you the exact dates, but in that 2006 to 2008 range, he just bought a crazy amount of houses, and eventually he scaled up to doing apartments. And I don't know all of his investments, but I'm familiar that he invests in Kentucky, because he and I were in Kentucky at the same time, and we actually I switched my management company, the company he used for a little while, and he's actually, so one of the things you're going to learn about Todd is he did not invest in the Twin Cities for many years, and he's here to tell you why he's now investing in the Twin Cities again. He rattled off the deals. I could be wrong, but he's got at least 4 apartment deals in the Twin Cities, either under ownership or under contract right now, and it might be 5. It's somewhere in that ballpark, right? And this is all extremely recent. He's very bullish on the Twin Cities, and he wasn't for a while, so you get to find that out.
And he got his start during the crash of 2008.
Yeah.
Right. And now, not that there's certainly not a crash now, but there are opportunities in commercial where you actually find distressed commercial assets.
Yeah.
So he's got the kahunas to see that.
I think I think I feel some undertone. I mean, without saying everything, I get a lot of private conversations with people, and without getting into those private conversations, I know some other people who moved back to the Twin Cities recently who used to invest here, moved to Texas, and now are back. And I feel like we are bubbling, and I don't think we're about to explode at all, but there's bubbles happening, and the Twin Cities is going to get hot again, and it's not too far off, right? But it could be as much as a couple years. I'm not saying it's like 3 months from now, but
Can you be more specific? I don't understand. What are you predicting right now, Tim?
I'm predicting that values in the Twin Cities are going to spike really dramatically. Like, I mean S-curve spike. I don't mean like go up like I think we're going to see a 20% or more a year. Like,
no kidding.
Where it goes up like
driven by interest rates.
Yeah, and it won't start. So it's not a linear thing. Like, so when something like that happens, it's not like it goes up 2% per month. It's more like mortgages start like it's interest rates are going to have a big part of it, but also there is more people coming back to Twin Cities to invest that were investing big dollars. I'm talking like $10 million projects that were investing in other states are now investing here.
Well, if you look at a map of the United States right now, and there's all these like CNN headlines right now, NBC.com, it's full of just like cooling housing market, home prices down, home sales down, days on market up. And then you look at a map of the United States and who's holding it together, but the upper Midwest, baby. So
yeah,
that's got to be a big part of it, right?
And the Northeast too. So I see these surveys all the time myself. In the Northeast, crazy. There's like a super housing shortage there, and housing values are going up quite a bit. But yes, the Midwest is definitely number 2 with a bullet. And the Southeast, which is where a lot of these people are investing, is hurting right now. Yeah. And I don't know. I've been there, and I would tell you this: tenant quality, I mean, is quite a bit different, and what tenants are willing to do in terms of just like they just abandon their leases.
Are the people not nice?
No, I wouldn't say that. But I mean, when I say they abandon their lease, like you could. So we've had, I mean, and this has been in Louisville, Kentucky. This has been in Chattanooga. This has been in North Georgia, which is on the Chattanooga border. Those are the 3 Southeast areas that I've personally invested in, where
I feel like that Minnesota joke went over your head, but go on.
Probably did. Yeah, it was just, no, they'll just walk away from their lease. But the thing is, they don't tell you. It's not like they say, hey, Adam, I'm moving out. They just move out and they don't say a word. And then you're like, hey, they didn't pay the rent. Someone should go over there. And next thing you know, it's like, yeah, there's, whatever, half a dozen things of garbage there, and they're gone, and we don't see that very much here. I mean, it could happen, but it's not common.
Yeah, I don't want to make like an anti-out-of-state investing stand right now, because I don't think I have the information to do that. That's not like what we're saying.
That's not my intention.
I do hear, I hear more bad experiences than good. And that might only be like 60-40, right? But like the people that I interact with who invest out of state, I definitely hear more deals that just didn't quite go. Not that people are like losing their shirts, but like it didn't go the way I thought it would.
I had some deals go extremely well. I mean, let's be real clear. I made 50% in like 14 months on the deal, and had another deal like in roughly
Louisville?
No, Chattanooga. Well, Louisville, actually, we made 52% in 24 months. We made 50% in like 14 months in Chattanooga. And then in another Chattanooga deal, we made, I don't know the exact percentage, more than 30, less than 50 in like 18 months. Yeah. So, I mean, some of that went extraordinarily well. The problem is those were all the deals I invested less in. So that was one of the things. But also, so what I really learned with out-of-state investing is and this is something I've talked about in the podcast before, but like, it is extremely difficult to make money as a property manager. And so you can, they say you make money on the buy, which is kind of true, but on these big deals, you still have to manage them, right? So if you have 200 units, which is what we had in Louisville at one point, you need to manage 200 units and 200 tenants. And when 200 is a lot to us, but it's not to a property manager, it's a fifth of what they need to keep the doors open. You know what I mean? And probably a tenth of what they need to live the life they want to live, or something like that. So it's just, you become a small fish in their pond. most of the people I see that invest out of state start with a property manager and eventually get enough units in one area where they take it over and do their own property management. And again, some of these private conversations I've had, what I'm hearing from people is they moved out of state so they could then go take over the property management and do it themselves.
Interesting.
Because there's just, it's a really, property management is just not profitable enough for someone to do a great job. They have to do an okay job.
Ugh.
It's just, I mean, I don't know how to say it other than that. And you've done it, right? You know
I mean, dude, publicly have spoken about, I tried to, a couple years ago, I thought, I've got a family I'm supporting. I'm a 100% commission guy. And even though sales are steady, there's that fear in the back of my head. And I think anyone probably with kids who lives on only commission is like, what if something happens and the commissions go down, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'll build a property management portfolio because that will be consistent income no matter what. And even if I don't sell a house this month, as unlikely as that might be, we will eat. And oh my gosh, it's just the worst thing in the world. Like, people complain about their property manager for the most part because it is a very, it's just a negative facing job. If your property manager is calling you, it's not to say like, hey, everything is going amazing and I love you. Yeah. Hi. That's not why they're calling. I'm like, even if I'm doing a great job, it's setting me up for failure in front of some of my most important clients. And I just wasn't okay with that. And just the day-to-day grind of dealing with people and systems. And, I'm a left brain kind of guy. So that's me.
Yeah, and going to your point, like so just because you can do a toilet yourself for $40 doesn't mean someone who needs to make a living off it and run a business can fix a toilet for $40. They need to charge $200, and then you're the property manager saying it's gonna be $200, and the landlord saying, well, I could do it for $40, right? And it's like, it's just this, it's a very weird business to try to make money at and have satisfaction and all this other stuff. And to me, this is the problem with out-of-state investing, because in-state investing, at the very least, if you have a property manager, you can be there, right? But in out-of-state, I mean, you have to rely on them. They're busy. There are weeks that go by where they don't think about your property once, right? And so how do you keep them engaged? How do you trust them, but not be a pain in their ass? Because honestly, if you're on their back, what are they? I mean, they're not making that much money on you. Our property manager, I remember their fee to us was like $4,000 on one of our properties, and they had a full-time person dedicated to our account. I guess that person was dedicated to many buildings, but like they had to pay that person part of that $4,000. It wasn't all profit. We paid their the property manager separately, but they had like a regional manager that got part of that $4,000. So the owner of the company, and then the owner of the company had to pay all their normal expenses.
Sure.
So that's my. So anyway, it ends up being a situation where it's a tough way to make money, and if you're on the other side of it, then you have to understand that and how do you deal with it, and so it becomes frustrating on your end. And if you don't have enough units, it's just what's your motivation to fly down there, or if you're not making enough money or whatever else, you got to fly down there to see it. It gets very tricky to do.
Let's cut for a second. What is your alarm going off, or what's going on? Oh, now it's over. Okay.
Let me just make sure. I took it off of airplane mode when can we take? This is almost a full. I wonder if this should turn into an Adam and Tim episode.
No, this is good. We're coming out of our first YouTube.
Yeah, well, I think this is valuable. I certainly hope it is. If you haven't invested out of state, I'm not telling you not to, but you should go in with eyes wide open.
For me, it's the trust thing. It's how in the Twin Cities, if I'm gonna take on something brand new, I've never done before. Let's say I'm not gonna do this, but as an example, I'm gonna open a coffee shop, and I know nothing about coffee. So that's an analogy. If I don't know anything about real estate out of state. At least I have people who I know, like, and trust, who I've known for the past 10 years, who can then introduce me to someone who they know, like, and trust, who owns a coffee shop. But if it's 4 states away, I'm just relying, I'm interviewing people, and everyone I talk to is on their best behavior because it's a sales call, and then I'm just picking the best salesman. And no, thank you.
Yeah, I'll never forget. So this is part of that Louisville story, but I never forget the time I did go to Louisville, and we were in the corporate offices of our property management company, and they had thousands of units in Louisville. They had won the Property Manager of the Year award like a couple years in a row from an organization, right? But like
Were they also the head of the property manager board?
I don't think so, but it's what's
The Academy?
right? Yeah. And man, I mean, like I'm telling you, like we have every reason to believe they'd be great, right? But I remember sitting in the room, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we have to fire them, because the whole meeting was all about them trying to set expectations for us that where we had to basically what's a good way to say this? They wanted us to lower our expectations for the property and the type of tenant they could get and the amount of rent we would get and all this other stuff. And I just remember going, whoa.
This is after like your first initial meeting?
This is like
follow up?
This is like maybe a year in. Sure. Yeah, this isn't even after. We had been working with them for a while, and I'm like, that's when we switched to, I believe the company was called Denton. We were not with them very long at all. That was the company. We'll have to confirm that name with Todd. But Todd used them, I believe, in Lexington, Kentucky. We were in Louisville. We got the name from them. And Denton took a different approach. So that's the other thing is, in larger real estate, they talk about your incentives being aligned, right? Because you have more partners and stuff, right? And we don't talk about that in duplex as much. But imagine this: if I'm a property manager, I get paid based on gross rents, but I have to and I might get paid to get a new lease, but my pay is like on these big apartment buildings 4% of gross rent. So if I don't rent a unit for a month, it's not the end of the world to me. I might have bigger fish to fry. I might have other problems. If you're a small landlord, that's $1,500 to you. Well, on these apartment buildings, it's $700, and it's only 4% of $700, right? It's like $28. They don't give a shit, I
have a list of, I just want to say this before I forget. I've got 5 questions to ask your property manager when you interview them that I've sent to, because I don't have a go-to property manager referral, because I like to give my clients options, and I ultimately don't want to be 100% responsible for. I want them to make the decision that's best for them. I don't want to just say, hey, here's the best person in town. But there are 5 questions, and you can shoot me a private message and I'll send them to you to ask the property manager, and ask it in email form, so it's in writing, that I think gives you a lot of protection and just ultimately to hold them accountable. And I think my clients have found that helpful. But go on.
Sorry. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, I think we should have some property managers on here and talk to them about this stuff, because if you don't understand what your vendors are going through, well, I was talking about alignment, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but if you don't understand what they're going through, how do you deal with them properly, right? It's almost like a fake relationship in a way. Not intentionally fake, but it's not based on reality, And the reality is it's a tough job. They have to have a lot of people. You need them to do the job for them. So how do you have a meeting of the minds? And this is all about incentive alignment. It's talked a lot about in big real estate. And I could tell we did not have an incentive alignment with that first company, right? Mm-hmm. Their incentive and our incentives were different. Now, Denton, the one thing I liked about them a lot is their employees were paid based on profitability of the building.
Wow.
Which was just a little bit more expensive, but it was only a little bit. We weren't talking like, and because they took some of their funds that they would normally pay and they broke them up. Like, I'm sure their people got paid less as a base and more of a commission, right? I'm sure that's how it worked out. And that incentive of alignment really rang true with me, especially after that other meeting. And I just think it's something that you have to think about when you've got partners in business, or when you have a vendor, you have to be aligned with them to have the best result. And I guess that's where I'll leave that kind of topic for now.
Yeah. Well, hey, we got off on a tangent because we were talking about Todd. We have Jared Moorhead coming up. We have Todd Degsheimer. Yeah. My friend Lisa, old friend from the serving days, who crushes it on the West Side, invited her. Our friend Ryan, I invited him this morning, who is not like a super seasoned investor, but has done a couple successful deals very, very recently.
Yeah.
2025, him and his wife are making it work, so I thought he'd be good. Who else, Tim? Who else should we talk about?
Well, Kofi. Kofi's going to be
Yes.
He'll actually probably be the star of the year. I think more people will talk about Kofi's episode when we're done than anyone else. Not that other people aren't necessarily better, but his story is freaking amazing. And again, shout out to the meetup. I met him one time. It was at the meetup, and he has such a compelling story that I'm just going to tell you that when you see Kofi's episode, just like Kofi Stop Now Listen is what that one's going to be called.
He's okay. Well, I mean, he does Airbnb, and his strategy is just fun. It's fun. And it's cool to look at, and it's visual. And now that we are in this new medium where we're actually caring about video quality, we thought Kofi's going to be the star of the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so we have to test out how we do that. That's probably post production, but we have to figure out how we show his off the best, and that'll definitely be best seen on our soon to be formed YouTube channel.
Oh, that's another good point. Yeah, because a lot of you are listening on Spotify right now. We are going to start, we're having a big screen mounted in this room that'll be behind the cameras, but then we're going to have another feed so that if you're watching this on video right now, we'll be able to like superimpose, like Richard, what if we could have pulled up photos of all those houses that he bought?
Yeah.
And how valuable would that be to the listener to see like, that doesn't look like that bad at all of a rehab job. So that's what Tim is describing, which we're very excited about.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some others. Longtime house hacking agent Ryan Luthi will be on.
Nice.
Ryan's a friend of mine for sure, and I think he's a friend of yours. And certainly he's the type of guy who's done a lot of transactions, and he was in the sober home world for a while.
Yeah.
And that changed. So maybe he'll be willing to talk about that. People who are directly in that world won't talk about it on camera. I tried to get some real... But that world's changed quite a bit, right? We kind of heard that through Alyssa.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
she didn't get into detail, right? Yeah, he won't. I don't think he'll be tight-lipped about that. But we've got some. Bruce Brunner will be on.
I don't know, Bruce.
Bruce converts duplexes into triplexes legally all throughout South Minneapolis, particularly the Seward. I shouldn't say all throughout. In the Seward neighborhood, Bruce has some interesting lifestyle rules for himself. I think it's like he has to invest within 1 mile of his house, but maybe it's like a couple miles, whatever. Certain distance from his house.
Sure.
And his wife has a rule that he can never own more than 10 houses at a time. So every time he buys a new house, he has to sell one. That's her rule for him. And I personally have been involved in multiple transactions of him. I've met him. I actually pretty sure that his daughter is now a realtor. I saw online Facebook's bring me up who I think is his daughter, because I met her one time, right? But anyway, he runs a great business, a real interesting business. There's some other people I want to have on the podcast that I haven't reached out to, but we want new and interesting people. So bring us your guests.
Yeah, that's the teaser. Well, we have talked for long enough probably today, but if you made it this far, we appreciate your support. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon, please subscribe on YouTube. Just search Twin Cities Real Estate Investing and like and share. Come to our meetup. And anything else to plug, Tim?
Nope. Tell us what you think. I guess that's the biggest thing is give us some feedback, start sending us some emails, and let us know. I want to do a question and answer soon, like an Ask Me Anything, but we need to get an email list going in order to do that. So we'll get all that stuff figured out real soon, but for now, just please give us your feedback, whatever that might be, good, bad, or ugly. We like hearing the good, but we also want to hear what you want improved.
What do you hate about this? Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's it for today's show. You can visit the TwinCitiesRealEstateInvesting.com website for show notes, tips, tricks, and other local real estate investing information. Adam and Tim would like to meet with you. To schedule a one-on-one meeting with either Adam or Tim, go to TwinCitiesRealEstateInvesting.com/schedule.